Hey guys, and welcome to episode number 3 of the Expat Blueprint, the podcast dedicated to educating expats to financial freedom. So I wanted to start by giving a big shout out to everyone who's been following so far, and welcome to any new listeners. If you are new, get yourself involved, drop in the comments who you are and where you're watching from, and ask any questions or let me know of any concerns you might have about your personal finances, and we can get those addressed in future podcasts. Right, so for the first few weeks, we've been really setting the scene about mainly getting your mindset right for the journey you're about to go on. The reason I've been so pedantic about mindset is because from now on, I can start to be a little bit more specific about the steps you need to take. But unless you're really wanting to create change or you're determined to maximize your expat opportunity, then it's probably going to fall on deaf ears. Okay, so today I wanted to introduce you to a concept known as the financial planning pyramid. For any of you that have studied psychology or read about human behavior, you might be familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Abraham Maslow put forward that there are 5 stages of human motivation that we all seek. Again, represented in a pyramid, with the base layer and most important part being our human basic needs, such as air, water, food, sleep, and so on, through to the top or the pinnacle of the pyramid, which is self-actualization, which is ultimately the desire to be the best we can be. Now, the point of the pyramid is that we are motivated first and foremost by our basic needs. Then as we're able to satisfy those needs, we then progress up the pyramid as other motivations then start to become more important. This is similar to the financial planning pyramid. As I go through how it works, you'll see we need to address your most basic needs. Then as we satisfy those needs, you can then look to move on to the next stage and start addressing other areas. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, it will by the end of this video. So if you Google the financial planning pyramid, there'll be a number of variations on how things are worded, but ultimately they all say the same thing. The pyramid I'll go through today with you has a number of different levels, but they're categorized into 3 phases: protect, accumulate, and transfer. So if we start with the protect phase and look at the base layer, the first step we need to consider is living. Living is basically, do you have enough income coming in to survive? Now, the chances are that if you're listening to this podcast, then you probably do. But ultimately, do you have enough to cover your basic needs? I'm talking about things like food, clothing, a roof over your head. Now, where you might be struggling is that you're literally getting to the end of the month and basically living from paycheck to paycheck, or even borrowing from credit cards or overdrafts, or even friends and family, just to fulfill these basic needs. Now, that's a problem. We'll be doing a lot of work to show you how you can create as much of a gap between what's coming in and what's going out, so you can start using income to plan and prepare for things that are important to you. If you feel like you're stuck in a rut, then don't worry. In the next few weeks, we'll be helping you dig yourself out of that hole. Layer number 2 is an emergency fund. An emergency fund is your protection when life punches you in the face. And I'm talking about losing your job, paying medical bills, your car engine or your home AC blowing up. Those critical issues you need to address as soon as possible. Having an emergency fund or cash set aside, typically 3 to 6 months of monthly expenses, can really be your saving grace in these moments. Layer number 3 is financial protection. Now, if an emergency fund is for when life punches you in the mouth, financial protection is for when life tries to throw you off a cliff. The bottom line is that if you were cut off from your income because of a critical illness, or if you went to bed last night and didn't wake up, could you or your family still function? Could they still go on to achieve the things that you would want them to achieve? Or would your life and your family's life be thrown into turmoil? What's crazy is that people rush to insure their new iPhone just in case their screen cracks and it costs them $500 to fix. Yet we all know someone who's been affected by cancer, a heart attack, or some other terrible illness. And many of us begrudge insuring our most important asset, which is ourselves and our family. So that's the protect phase. Now, don't get me wrong, planning for disaster to strike isn't the brightest of conversations I have with the expats that I work with, but it is crucially the most important. I much prefer sitting and talking about someone's dreams and aspirations, watching them live it out in their mind as they talk to me about it. But unfortunately, that whole conversation is absolutely irrelevant if something unexpected and out of their control happens to them. Protection is the base of the pyramid for a reason. It's important we build a really strong base. We move on to the next phase of the pyramid called accumulate. This is where we start to look at how we can grow our wealth to meet our future objectives. This would typically start with layer number 4, which is retirement. The reason why this is the next phase is because this is something we can say with absolute certainty that is going to happen to all of us at some point in our life. Some might retire sooner than others, But there will come a day for all of us when we can't physically work anymore. With the development of healthcare, medicine, and the increase of our standard of living, the duration we are spending in retirement is becoming longer and longer. It wouldn't be unusual that we would need to fund 25 to 30 years of retirement, and the sooner we start preparing for this, the better. How we do this, of course, will be discussed in future episodes. Layer number 5 for me is probably more down to personal preference. These are other lifetime goals, ambitions, or objectives. Typical examples of this would be purchasing property or planning for children's education. However, the section is really mapping out what is important to you and how much it's going to cost. The reason we place this after retirement is because it's slightly less essential we get this right. If you become a lifetime renter or your children go to normal state school, in the grand scheme of things, it's not the end of the world. It's also important to note that whilst you might feel that your children's needs are the only thing that matters, it is essential that you don't prioritise things like their schooling over your financial future. It's like the old airline routine when they tell you to put your own life jacket on before helping someone else. You're no use to anyone if you're trying to help someone else but end up drowning in the process. Finally, the last phase and layer number 6 is wealth transfer, also known as legacy planning. Once you've accumulated your wealth and it becomes clear that you have assets such as cash, property, personal belongings, this is not only considering things like wills, but also steps to reduce any taxes that might be imposed by governments. Between 2018 and 2019, the UK collected approximately £5.2 billion in estate taxes, which I'm sure would be a lot less if people had the right advice and made significant planning steps. With regards to general tax planning and our individual tax position, we should be considering this all the time. As expats, it can be difficult to fully understand where we lie with regards to tax, because of the conflict between our home countries and our resident country. We're going to help you understand the typical type of taxes that you need to be aware of and strategies that might be beneficial to ensure you're not overpaying in tax. So there you have it, the financial planning pyramid. Now obviously each of these layers need to be broken down into multiple videos, which we will do, but my objective today was to make you understand that financial planning isn't just about having a savings plan or a financial product. Financial planning is about mapping out the most important things to you and then following a process or a pathway to ensure you get there. Your journey is definitely going to change and your life will turn in ways that you didn't expect. However, following the financial planning pyramid and ticking things off in order will ensure that you're as prepared as you can be. As always, like, share, review. It does mean so much to me and will be a huge help to get this out to as many expats as possible. Introducing your friend to financial independence might be the greatest gift you could ever give them and change their life. Be that person. However, I will see you all next week. Remember, dream big, everybody.